Week number 1 of the 2026 Road to Nationals season is in the books, and there are a couple of heroes I expected to do better, and one that sits atop the heap. And of course, the one that does above all is none other than Gravy Bones, Shipwrecked Looter. Turns out, allies and Gravy Bones, pretty stinking good. Drawing cards with gold, also pretty good as well. He has been the de facto best deck in the format for, I guess, since the bannings brought Syndra down, because I feel like it was between him and Syndra, with Verdance sort of playing third fiddle or second fiddle to the two. I don't know the best way to put that, even though I do teach music. Either way, the point stands. Gravy Bones has been sort of calling the shots, ruling the roost, and setting sail across the high seas of the meta since High Seas debuted last summer. He's been pulled down a time and again, and yet he manages to rise once more to the top of the meta. And the question becomes at this point, do you just bring a hero that does well into Gravy Bones? Is that your goal? And of course, in Road to National season, it really is all about what your own local meta looks like. A lot of players making the call to play specific heroes, either one, because they enjoy them, or maybe because they might have a pretty solid matchup into the old Gravy Bones here. A couple of those heroes you do see at the top there. I would say Arachne Marionette can go toe-to-toe with Gravy Bones, and Kasai is favored in that matchup. I will also say that I was shocked that Kasai hung around in the top 3, in this case tying for second with Arachne and Verdance Thorn of the Rose, because I do think that this meta can be pretty hostile for Kasai. There's more space than ever for other decks that do give her a little bit of trouble, and as someone who has played a hell of a lot of Kasai of the Golden Sand, I do feel confident in saying that she has some great matchups, and she has some matchups that are hard to navigate. Looking at you, Florian. Florian can sometimes be pretty difficult to play into. You do have to be rather aggressive, and you do have to kind of know when to hold him and when to fold him with some of your attack reactions if you're playing more, or if you only have like the 5 attack reactions that the main deck has. Nevertheless, if your meta dictates that you can play Kasai, I do think she's one of the best decks in the format, regardless of some of those bad matchups that do definitely exist. But there's a couple of other heroes here that I think underperformed in comparison to what I expected. Looking at you, Fang Drakaev Blades with only 3 wins. Still, 3 wins is more than before. And KO Armed and Dangerous, everyone talked the deck up post-ban, post Syndra being knocked down a peg, and yet only sitting at 3 wins as well. I also did expect a little bit more Acilio love, but I will say, 1, the deck is difficult to play. I totally understand that. And 2, I think it's easier to hate into. It's easier to bring things that immediately just kill that deck in comparison to other heroes like Kasai. Can't really do that too, or in some cases Verdance as well. You can't really just bring in random hate card X and then just feel so much more comfortable in that matchup. You can do that for Acilio. So keep that in mind as well. Those are heroes that I would expect to do rather well going forward, Fang and Acilio, but only sitting at 3 wins each. I think the talk of the town at this point is that this meta is, again, ruled by Gravy Bones and an assassin, just like it was, I don't know, at this point, right after Gravy Bones released. Like, literally, High Seas meta, it was like Gravy Bones and assassins. That was just the thing that we went to, and that's where we are now, with Verdance taking a slight step down in the meta representation, Kasai coming up to answer some of that, and some heroes dancing along the fringes, maybe having the space to actually execute some wins, pick up some wins across the board. But not only about that, I think we should also take a look at the Living Legend leaderboard and see how this pans out, because as we take a look at this, we are getting dangerously close to yet another hero rotating. I mean, looking at KO Armed and Dangerous not doing as well as perhaps some people thought, this might not be the season that he rotates, but Florian's starting to pick up some ground, both on the Twitter sphere, just in social media in general, but also here with a couple of wins. Florian might be sniffing the living legend status as well. And it does beg the question, is the the length of time that Florian and that Verdance have been around, is that good? To me, that feels pretty much perfect, because if he does not go in these next month or two, then he will most likely go like later, halfway through the year, ProQuest season, stuff like that, right? And if he rotates around that time, he would have been in the metagame for almost 2 years, right? It's been that long. 2024, the final set of 2024 was Rosetta. So Verdance and Florian, both Earth heroes rotating around that time, could be just pitch perfect for the amount of time that a hero should be in the rotation. In fact, I will say Verdance, with a ton of points in this Super Slam season, she is taking a step back, as you see the meta representation not as strong for her, but a ton of points nonetheless. She's at 713. And of course, I have to look at Kasai, because Kasai has been doing rather well over the past couple of weeks and maybe month and a half at this point. And she's only gotten 199 points, less than Syndra, less than Verdance, less, more points than most other heroes, but less than those two bigger ones, and less than Gravy Bones, because he does have the 0.5x multiplier, which I still like. I still stand by, because it means that at this point you can still buy into the deck. Like, he's at 302 living legend points. You can still buy into that deck. But the argument can also be made for the same way for Kasai of the Golden Sand, who is at this point 2 years old and has a, I think she's at this point at the 1.5x multiplier. I think it would be like the release of Pen she gains it, actually, now that I think about it, because it would have been the beginning of 2024 when she would have been released with heavy hitters. So she will about to be accruing those points. Nevertheless, if she's not the de facto best deck, or if she's not picking up like double calling wins for the point totals here, as you can see the callings are like 100 points per calling win, she's not going to like just speed run Blink out of existence. She would have to pick up like 3 callings plus a bunch more points in the Road to Nationals season, and have those things be like the 1.5x multiplier. I mean, it doesn't make sense for her. So there are decks in this meta that if you're brand new to the game, or if you're just getting your feet wet in Classic Constructed, there are some decks that are at the top of the meta that are really good picks, like Kasai. Like if you're going to be playing this next weekend or the next couple of weekends, I'm looking at Arachne Marionette, which is somewhere, and I just passed Arachne Marionette right there, sitting at only 225 points. That's a great hero to invest into. I don't necessarily would say the same thing about Arachne Slip Through the Cracks, but there's like a lot of good solid heroes. Acilio only sitting at 182 points. And then Fang, I think Fang is really underrated. Fang, like 109 points. There's actually a lot of heroes that are sitting at these lower point totals that you can really feel comfortable investing into. Of course, this is all before we know the contents of the upcoming expansion set. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, invest in this hero. I just want you to be aware that the point totals, even through some of these wins, are solidly low for some heroes, making them like comfortable pick up and play heroes for at least the next year, maybe 2 years. And if the game is getting cheaper with lower cost of entry for legendaries, like generic legendaries and things like that, then you can feel more comfortable buying into a hero that could, like, for example, like a Syndra. Let's say Syndra gets better, even though I do think she's come down a bunch. Maybe we say like the Verdance, for example, here. You could jump into Verdance and play her for the next, like 6 to 8 months that she's around, if she's around that long, and pivot her cards into another wizard that we could be getting in Wizard Mastery Pack, if that's a thing, which it definitely could be, or another Earth hero, which we could be getting in the set after Dusk Till Dawn 2, or I guess we should say Monarch 3, the threepening, right? Those sets, if they do include heroes that can be, like these card pool can be parlayed into, those are fantastic heroes that you could play now. And because those deck prices might start to creep down, you can invest into later. And that is the other thing, like this is why I am good. I'm happy with the 0.5x multiplier. And I know there's people in the comments down below that are saying that I shouldn't be. But the fact that Gravy Bones is a deck that is going to be around for longer, and couple that with, the assumption that we're going to be getting good ally hate cards that will mitigate some of his power level. The fact that he has not accrued a bunch of points and isn't about to, rotate or anything like that is a good thing, because I can feel comfortable buying the cool cards, playing the deck for a long time, hanging around on the deck for a long time, understanding that I'm going to be seeing cards that are, hating against me and trying to work through the puzzles that the deck creates. I can feel comfortable doing all of those things in an extended period of time. And I do think that 1.5x multiplier and that 0.5x multiplier is a good thing for this Living Legend system. But overall, if we're just talking about what you should play for this upcoming weekend, the answer is pretty clear. I mean, if you're looking at a hero to play, Gravy Bones sitting at the top of the list. If you have the deck, if you want the deck, if you know how to play the deck, it's not a bad choice. Outside of Gravy Bones, I do think the other options very comfortably include Kasai. Of course, I'm a big fan of Kasai. I think she has some great matchups. But if your meta has a hero like Fang, drop Kasai and play Fang, because Fang just outpaces Kasai to the nth degree. And also you do kind of have to worry about like Acilios as well. So if you have a meta with like Acilio and Fang and Florian, then Kasai might be a harder pickup. But if your meta has a lot of Gravy Bones and has a lot of like Guardians, or even has like Arachne Marionettes that are pretty like mid players, I guess is the best way to say it, because I do think that matchup can be pretty challenging at times. Either way, if you have those types of things, a Kasai pickup is great. And of course, you could also just run out Arachne Marionette, because it has a lot of disruptive potential, has a lot of the ability to kind of pivot as well and play a longer game. A very solid hero in their own right. So there's a lot to look forward to, even though I understand the meta is so heavily dominated by one Mr. Gravy Bones. I wouldn't even say it's that heavily dominated. I think people are just fatigued by the continued prospect after multiple bans. I think that's really what it is. So if that's what's bothering you, let me know that down in a comment below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video of recapping the weekend and the results and me spitballing some ideas with you, let me know that. Make the number go to the other number right down below, because that's what we do on this channel. We make numbers go to other numbers, because that's exciting. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.